Good day. Now we've got a good time to do a garden tour. It's nice and warm, a little humid, and it's clouded over, so I can see that screen just well. A lot can change in 2 weeks, so figured I'd better do a garden tour mid-month as well. We've had some cold spurts this year, and so the grapes, well, they haven't been all pollinated either, see that? The grapes that I'll get will probably be mostly green this year. Last year I didn't have very many green grapes, and so what I got is still frozen in the freezer. If I get a lot of green grapes this year, then I can combine it with those and make a fairly decent batch of verjuice, they call it, which is a replacement for lemon juice. Mint has a really nice flower, in my opinion, a flower spike. We're coming right along. Have some starting to ripen up. You see the mottled look on this one, and this one as well. So this is Berkeley tie-dye. That's how they're supposed to be, and when they turn orange they'll still have that mottled look. It'll just be orange instead of green. The butternut squash that was here, the skin had gone hard, so I harvested it. I had a zucchini to harvest the same day, and the potato plant has died in there. I come down here now. This tomato variety is Beaver Lodge Slicer. For a while they're lighting up, and I thought they were going to just ripen right up. This one was jammed in between the two, getting deformed. But they're not obviously turning red yet. But Beaver Lodge Slicer, so next year I need to get a lot of Berkeley tie-dye growing and a lot of Beaver Lodge Slicer. Coming along, I just put this one down here. It had ripened up, but now here's the plant that it come from, and the plant was laying out. The stake wasn't here, and I was laying down on this brick, and they all so it got damaged on the one side. And now I had hoped that I wouldn't get, see, this is from where it was laying on the brick. So I had hoped that I would get them ripe and just have this surface blemish. Something started to heat into that, so now I have to take that right away. There's a few others there that are still green, so hopefully I can get them before anything bites them, and I'll just have that surface blemish on the tomato. Yeah, I don't remember how many zucchini that I harvested from there. Don't remember if I showed you this one in the last video, but I did pull away the grass from beneath and cut off some more brown dead stuff that was down there. And now it's leaved out again, and for the most part the leaves haven't been eaten. I mean, you'd expect this hole here and there, but see, nice healthy looking leaves, and it has put on some flowers, so that's alright. Slugs apparently likes it. I mean, the snails, there's a snail way up there. Black aphids. That's not what was eating it before, though. There was a kind of a beetle thing. It's actually just a later producing tomato. There's quite a few tomatoes on these plants now, and as you can see, quite a few flowers. But still, the package says bush beefsteak. Now, is that a variety or is that just the type, right? I mean, there is a type bush beefsteak, so that name doesn't tell me very much. And I've been poking in around and looking in from the back to see if I could see any ripe ones. I haven't seen any ripe ones yet. As along here, remember there was 10 squash growing in here, and there's one down there that's newly pollinated. For that one there, insects pollinated that one, and this one here. So there's 13. I think that one there is an insect pollinated one as well. 14 or 15 squash there now because I didn't pollinate anymore, but the insects, of course, are still doing their job. And in the casserole video, I picked 5 cucumber out of here. This one, when it's growing up here, I had some, see, this one has grown, but he looks like he's going to wither. And that one looks like he's going to wither. The only good cucumbers I got from this one, there's one there, that's the highest one I got. It has me down in the other foliage now, I don't know why that is. And there's another one there. I took the 2 cucumbers that I showed you in the last tour video from here. There's some good ones growing, but they're not ready to be harvested yet. And on this, see, there's another one right up here too. So almost up to the top of the fence, right? Another one here. So we'll see. And the third plant, the little runt of a thing, is here. It's got a deformed one here. It's got 2 what looks to be decent cucumbers, but what you see there, that's it. Just a little runt of a plant. I decided to leave that on there and let the slugs eat it, and then they'll be more interested in that one than anything else that's growing, because, well, that one was no good to me. But since last tour, you got one there, so there's one. I picked a tomato from here a week ago or something now, but now I have 3 more ready to go. I'll come back and get those. I think you've seen that squash already too. This one, skin is getting hard. See, I can just barely mark it. That's the first one that pollinated. 3, 4. Now this one pollinated shortly after, but I can still dig my nail into it, see? So it's not hardening up. 5, 6. Here's the green onions. They are growing really tall. Oh yeah, there was something else too. I said before that radishes don't bow up for me, and they didn't. I have a couple of volunteer radish there, but look at the plant. It grew up. It's got flowers up here. Here's a radish flower up here. It's up almost to the top of the fence, and that's all I got out of it is a flower stalk. I always have to try to get some good pictures of our pollinators. Echinacea is coming along beautifully. Look at all the blooms on this thing. Eight. 9, but something is eating this, so I probably won't get anything out of that either. 10. Another echinacea. And the third echinacea over right there. I did manage to finish the mulching on here. And since the last tour, look what came up. Another one here, another one here. Now, I'm not going to get anything out of these this year. Another one here. But maybe we'll try this experiment again here next year. What I don't know is why it looks like that one is still alive, is dying too. But that one died, see? There was actually 3 there, and then this one is looking healthy still. You can see I've got it mulched outside and inside the fence. So next spring I'll be able to put some perennials outside and maybe redo our potato experiment inside. Oh, this is all going to seed now, see? And the potatoes in there are doing just fine. I'm just going to keep this running now and cut where I need to. Took up the sticks around the cherry trees because I said, oh, the cherry tree is big enough now. I'll mow around it, and then the next time I used up a full battery in the mower. I put that mulch around by the fence pretty thick, so I got the sticks taken up here, and I can just now lay a layer of mulch around it, and I'll take up these sticks as well, because like I say, the trees are big enough now, right? That was when the trees were little tiny things. They didn't need to be there. Nothing has changed over there, except for my truck is put back together. I'm mobile again. This is where I tapped this tree before, but it's healed up now. So I'm thinking next spring I'm going to try and tap it again. I'll put a tap in up here, and maybe one here, and one over somewhere on that trunk. Put one on each trunk. Nothing exciting here. Slugs, you know, they done a good job of cleaning up the detritus, eh? Any leaves that died, they come in and they just clean this patch right up, nice and clean. I don't know what the date it was that these flowered last year, but there's no sign of them flowering this year. I don't know if that has an effect on the tubers or no. I did want to show you some caterpillars that seem to be quite overly abundant this year, and they're the ones that done this damage. They're not doing much damage on here, but they're very abundant. And well, you see up right there, tent caterpillars. So some of them got on that tree, and when they left the tree, I guess they go somewhere else to go into a chrysalis. I don't know what they do, but they got down over things that were down lower as well, including this Jerusalem artichoke. The fungus got really bad on these leaves, eh? Like I say, it's what do you do when the air is still and 80% humidity to start out today, and it doesn't go down below 50. It's just humid all the time. That's what happens. Now you see, I have several of these. I'll just stick them in along, and of course I'll stick one on each end, and maybe stick one in the middle, because because I'm going to set that up for this year. I tried Arctic kiwi before, see, many years ago, and I got really the same thing. It gets the winter kill, the above ground stuff just dies right back. Now if you get a lot of snow piled up underneath the snow, it didn't die back. So what I'm thinking is that if I had that frame up and put a sheet over it, burlap cloth or whatever, just to give it that little bit of extra. I didn't think we got cold enough winters to have winter kill, so maybe it's the wind, I don't know, but give it a little bit of protection and see if the full thing will come back next year. And if so, then we will eventually be able to get berries. And if that works, then it's just a matter, like I can build whatever size of arbor up over this bed and have the vine climb over it, and then just, like I say, every winter you'd have to drape it and attach the cloth to the arbor. Another thing I want to point out, because I don't know if you know, I got these from a friend, and I guess he didn't remember or didn't know that he had gooseberries as well as currants. These are gooseberries. They are much sweeter than the currants. You can take them actually and just eat them fresh right off the plant, whereas currants need some sugar help. You see the leaf? That is a gooseberry leaf. They also turn color earlier, so that's why they're turning. And over here, this is a currant leaf. You see the difference? This one is much smoother than those. And also, even the older leaves down further, see, that's the gooseberry. They're much smaller. You get the older leaves on currants and they get put on really big leaves. So it is obviously, that's gooseberry, this is currants. Doesn't look like I'm going to get any seed. There is some white on there, but I didn't see them open, and the plant is dying, you see. So I don't know if I'm going to get any seed from that or no. Plums are almost ripe. It was about this time the last 2 years. I only have dates for the last 2 years, and then the year before that I have weight, but I don't have dates. But quite a few of these plums are getting ripe. And see, that one's a little bit squishy. So, I remember that year that I had just a humongous bunch of plums, and I said it paid for itself 4 or 5 times over in just 1 year. I have a lot of plum preserves, but I don't like them the way they are, so I haven't figured out how to use those preserves yet. So what I want to do, I really like these fresh, and I want to get them as soon as possible. But there's some that are not ripe yet, so I have to come out and just test them every day and take any that seems to be almost ripe and harvest them, and then come back the next day and check, and so on and so forth. It seemed to have slowed down. I'm still getting some straight neck. Don't know if it's the weather or just that they've lived long enough or what it is, but they have slowed down the production. Look what we got here. That's not a yellow straight neck. That's think up this far, this would be a volunteer. And I haven't been doing anything with it. But of course, once again, the pollinators have. One in there starting to rot. So I'm hoping that we don't get too much of that. And there's 2 more, 3 more. So I don't know how many squash I'm going to get once the frost comes. Don't know what's in among that. The Queensland Blue, I know that there's a really nice one in there. There's 2 nice ones in there. I just noticed the second one. And that one might be alright. Of course, this is the beautiful one that I'm going to select the seeds from. Same thing with this over here. The pollinators have been doing their job. I'll go around. The potatoes, as you can see, have all flopped over, and leaves are turning yellow in among there now. So it won't be long and they'll be dead. You see this? That's the little tiny one you seen before last time, and I was just poking out behind this one in here that's deciding that it's not going to grow. That looks like a yellow straight neck. I'd better harvest that. And I guess harvest that too. Some grow and some, not all of them, comes to fruition. See, he started to grow and that one's rotting as well. But there's some very beautiful ones in there. Herbs generally don't need much attention, but there's a few weeds in among there. I'm going to come out in the next couple of days now. I just wanted to do this tour first so you can see I take all this stuff that's ugly looking up top and cut it down to make it a sensible looking low bush. And this is ready to be trimmed. Potatoes, like I say, they're all dying back now. That's the first ones that were planted, of course, but these, see, yeah, they're all getting light and flopped over. Now, you remember the squash flower that I said probably wouldn't take because I tried to pollinate it with a faded male flower. Obviously it did. It looks like some kind of a butternut squash. It's a beautiful looking squash. It's got a fairly tough skin on it now. But then there was one over there, you see, that it's not growing. It looks okay, but it's just not growing. So that's kind of strange. One grew really big and then the other one's staying small. And this plant here decided to put on flowers. And I got one growing there, one there, another one down here. That potato plant has died. This, I think, will probably be the first one I take up. Nothing is over new in here. I mean, that one down there grew a bit, and then, oh yeah, there's one, this here little one here. I don't know how big that's going to get to grow. And the mashed potato squash, that skin is fairly hard. So this is a winter by winter thing, eh? Our winters right now are at the point where something like kale and a base of a cabbage might survive the winter, might not. It depends on a combination of how much snow we get and how much cold we get. This leaf lettuce, it actually grew fairly well. The chickpeas, they flowered. That plant come up pretty good. So I'm thinking that maybe next year, if I plant them as soon as the ground can be worked, maybe I might get a good crop of chickpeas. We shall see. Yeah, there's the red potato beds. We're still in the shady plot. And that squash is coming along nicely. I don't know if there's any more starting to grow down there or not. Then we'll go over here. It's actually, since I came back to this property, the best I got rutabaga to grow, and there's quite a few nice sized ones in there. As far as the beets now, I did get beets to grow good before, and I didn't have them big just because I picked them smaller. And this year I've let them grow big, and I mean, I've got big beets, right? A very nice crop of beets in that bed, in my opinion. Strawberry patch, looking good. Well, I had meant to get some more compost and do that before I done this tour, but oh well, is what it is. And I'll take this strawberry as a snack for now. Don't know if that's pollinated and how big it will get to grow if it is. And of course we got our other one over there, right? Now this has grown up into such a jungle that it's hard to get through. That bit of wind we had pushed everything that way. And these squash here, they got huge. I think there was another insect pollinated one among that somewhere. I'd expect that trust of tomatoes to be ripening up by now, because it was quite a while ago they were there, but they're not. They're still green. The multi-species bed. September the 5th this was. It put out a female flower, and I hand pollinated it. I think that's what they're supposed to look like. And now they'll grow much bigger than that, but I don't remember how big they grow either. But it would be wonderful if I can just get one squash now to see what it's like. But I'll try them again next year. Cosmos are all flowering. I got the 3 different colors, of course, the white, pink, and maroon, or whatever you call that color. See down right there, the hollyhock flowered, and it's got another flower bud. I did take a picture so I can put it up and show you the flower from the pink hollyhock. This one has a fully open flower. They're perennial, so they'll come back every year now. Beans are getting ripe. And what I'm afraid of, like advice is to say leave them on the vine, let them dry on the vine. But once again, we come back to the humidity factor. People who say they leave them on the vine, sometimes they'll, oh, we're going to have some rain, so I better go out and pick my beans. I'm going to assume, well, let's take this one and see what it's like inside. Pretty much done. So there's 4 beans in that pot. So I could pick them at that stage and let them dry in the house. Looking at the tops, you'd swear we had some awful big carrots, but as we've seen when we got some carrots for the casserole, you can pull that up and it could be a little stubby thing. You really don't know what you got until you actually pull the thing in the ground. I don't know, it's a wait and see, but I'm thinking they're going to have a hard time to come to maturity, seeds on this now. Don't forget you leave your borage plant around to go to flower. And as far as amaranth, I think that's the only way to let them grow, as a weed that you selectively leave, the same as borage. There's certain plants that you just got to let them do their thing and just don't let them overrun the garden. Like I said before, they're easy to pull up. It's not like you got mint or something that's sending out rhizomes all over the place. Those lettuce were doing nicely. So now, if I had them ready to go in when the garlic come out, I might have some very big plants here now. Or I haven't had lettuce or whatever. So, our seasons have been much shorter than what they are now. So going forward, I can plant have something to plant as soon as the garlic comes out. There's another thing, Yukon Gold potatoes, if you plant those, say the 1st of June, the last week of May, they'd come out too somewhere around the middle of August, in which case we can try growing something that has a short season behind Yukon Golds. But now for the Yukon Golds, if you're wanting to plant Yukon Golds to keep them over the winter so that you'd have seed for next year, then you'd have to make a later planting, say first, second week of July. Onions, they're coming along. The white onions are mostly all still standing up and growing. The red onions, there's a couple standing up, but most of them are flattened over. You see the hedge of these, this is the black turtle. The plants are dying out here on the hedge. Now this is on the south end of the bed. I don't know if that's the reason. They've got blown fairly hard with the wind in that corner. I don't know if that's the reason. Of course, I'm actually relatively new to growing beans. I think this is my 4th year, so I don't really know yet what to expect from them. Another thing that's ready to be harvested is in here. These apples. The tree's loaded again. Look at the ones that have fallen now. There's some ripe ones. They're getting ripe, and you see what that fungus does? It hardens the skin, and then the apple's still trying to grow and it cracks like that. Once again, I don't know if there's any apples on this tree without fungus on them, but here we are up behind the cellar. This tree is similar to the one behind the hen house. And there's more over here as well. No fungus. So I want to come and pick these for fresh eating over the next month. And the ones down by the hen house, I'll pick them. I'll cut off the bad parts, and then I'll just quarter it up, bag it, and put it in the deep freezer, and I'll be making apple juice out of those over time. So that's what I plan to do with that, and I guess I showed you what's exciting and new. That was the garden tour for This is the evening of September the 14th now, 2023. I hope you found it interesting. I always find garden tours interesting and want to see what other gardeners have growing. So you can leave me a comment, tell me what you think, and I shall see you in the next video.